Yeah. Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai. All praises and all honor and all glory unto Yahweh. Ba'asham Yahweh Shai. Ba'asham Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, the elders in Connecticut, right? To the brothers in the four winds, preaching in truth and sincerity, risking their lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, Shalom. To the Israelite foreigners who phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel and have come back to the fold. Shalom to you sisters, to you Akwathium who listen and learn under your husband or your spiritual leader and have come back to the fold. Shalom. This your brother Aram Yahweh with the lesson. Salakia. And yeah, let's get to it.
Hey, what's up, guys? John here. Europe is collapsing live. It's happening right now. They're going to start closing non-essential businesses due to this energy crisis. Russia is cutting them off. We're going to see a hell of a lot of change coming very, very soon. And these changes are coming to America. The same exact things, the same exact policies that are being implemented in Europe are going to be implemented in America. It's going to change real estate. It's going to change business. It's going to change the economy. It's going to change all of our lives in such a huge way. We just connect the dots, and that's what I'm going to do for you in this video. With that being said, please hit the like button. YouTube's going to share this content to educate more people about what's going on. So take a look at this. Liz Truss, the next prime minister replacing Boris Johnson. They say right here in this article on CNBC that there's a 70% chance they're going to close all non-essential businesses. And they're going to do this because of the energy crisis. It says it right here. With little policy action undertaken so far, it seems likely that more significant steps will be required during the fall and winter, including non-essential industries being ordered to temporarily shut down or curtailments on public energy use in order to avoid the worst-case scenario of rolling heating and power outages, which they gave a 70% probability. There's only a 30% chance that the UK can get through this winter without additional severe measures to reduce consumption. So
basically, you know this place is over with. To put a woman in charge, right? It's done with. The beast system is finished, right? Starting with Europe, then like you said, it's gonna come over to America. So that whole beast system, that second leg of Rome, right? The deadly wound that was healed, it's all crumbling, man. And what's crazy is, well, the scripture says that, man, that it's going to be by the hole that they dug, the traps or the snares that they put. They should fall into their own ditch. They should fall into their own holes, right? Roughly paraphrasing. So, because they basically tried to do those tariffs on Russia and, all these different tariffs. But then you know what? It's going to fall on them because now Russia's saying, look, I run all your energy. I run your heating and your cooling and your gas and all that stuff comes from me. So you're doing tariffs on me. You're trying to act like you're going to come to war against me. I'll cut off your stuff. I'll cut off your heat. Because if we're going to war, why should I make sure that you're warm in the winter? It's not a big deal to me, right? Plus, he's moving into physical assets, gold, silver, copper, whatever physical assets he can get into to back his money, right? Because he remembers when basically you collapsed the Soviet Union, right? Because that's the only reason why the Cold War didn't go on longer or didn't go into things, because what? Through the international bankers, they collapsed the Russian system. But guess what? He's back, right? Back and better than ever. He's controlling all this stuff, controlling your oil, controlling your heating and your so-called comfortability, man. So this whole thing is over with, right? So right here, prepared a net for my steps, right? My soul is bowed down, right? Because ultimately, most of all these things that they're doing is mostly for the Israelites. These atrocities, the way they're making their secret meetings, and most of this is about the Israelites, right? Getting rid of probably majority of the Israelites, but most likely keeping some, because in order for you to be in rulership, the Israelites have to be in captivity. So you got to have certain amount of Israelites still in captivity. So the whole thing is you got to have that 2/3 that gets the mark, right? In order to stay in power. You know what I mean? Well, really, you got to get them all, but the their thing is they're only going to get the 2/3, but the problem is they're not going to get the elect, and the Lord is dealing with a small number, right? Because the Lord has always said that it's nothing to the Lord to take down an army with few, right? To roughly paraphrasing. So it says they have digged a pit before me, into the midst thereof they are fallen themselves. Salah, right? Which means meditate. Salah, which means meditate. So you got to meditate on these things and think about how all these things that they're doing set up the so-called black Hebrew Israelites, or radical Hebrew Israelites, or however they want to put it. That really it's just going to be them that fall into their own pit. They're going to fall into their own thing that they dug, man. They're going to fall into their own trap, just like what they're doing right now over there in Europe. You know, the tariffs here, tariffs that. Let's set up this League of Nations, and that way we can go against they can go against the bear, which is Gog and Magog. They can, the beast with the scarlet colored beast and the whore think that they can go against it. So that this was their plan, but they're falling into their own ditch. Doing all them different tariffs and all these different things, trying to restrict this and trying to restrict that, and trying to control things to the narrative that now it's backfiring. Because now what? Let the weak say I'm strong. All those other nations have missiles too, right? In 15, he made a pit and digged it, and is fallen into the ditch which he made. And ultimately, that's what it is, man. Salah, man. You got to meditate, because ultimately, this dude is falling into the ditch that he made. Look at these so-called self-proclaimed white people, Edomites, around America on these opiums, man. Hardcore, bad, right? And no, they talk about the so-called black on black crime, but since that opium thing is really hitting them, how much is that white on white crime, or so-called white on white crime, has went up? I'm pretty sure it went up a lot, because you got that habit, and you got to get those drugs. Hey, people are they're doing all sorts of things, Edomite to Edomite, and killing them, man. So that's already like a start of Egyptian against Egyptian, man. Psalms 9 and 15, the heathen, right, which is another way of saying nations. So these nations are sunken down in the pit that they made, right? Because ultimately, when you go to Psalms 83, those nations were in league with the Edomites to keep us not being a nation, right? So that we'll no longer be a nation. So we'll no longer be known as the actual Israelites, right? We'll be known as these bywords: black, Hispanic, Native Indian, and these are all made up. Those are not biblical nationalities, man. Those are not the nationalities according to the Bible, according to the Most High. Those are all made up, just like they made up Chinese and Japanese, right? Just like the Edomite hides behind conquered the Greeks, which were dark colored people. He threw on the name Greek. Went to Europe, conquered the Israelites that were in Europe, and now they're the Spanish, now they're the French, now they're the English, right? Now they're the Portuguese, right? And they're hiding behind these things, and that thing is what? It's fallen, right? Through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, the wicked is being revealed in these last days. And what? These nations, these heathens, the heathens are sucking down in the pit that they made, right? And, forward in our affliction, trading us, right? Like it says in the Revelation 11. Matter of fact, I'm gonna have to get that to some in that which they hid is their own foot taken, right? So they set this up so they can so-called keep rulership, but it's not gonna work. Their foot is gonna be taken. They're gonna fall into the pit, and they are ultimately gonna go into slavery, man. All these nations, man, and the Israelites who they thought that they were gonna keep us from being a nation, we're rising up and knowing what nation that we are, man. Right? And the Lord said He's gonna put a refreshing on that kainos. It's gonna be a refreshing on it. The Lord said we're gonna have a new name, but it's not really necessarily a new name. It's just gonna be refreshed, man. That new remembrance with that new body, which really ain't new either, right? It's gonna be that body that we always was meant to have. But the Lord said He's gonna make the things greater than what they were from the beginning, man. So it is gonna be greater in a sense, right? Because we were never meant to die. So this is Psalms 9 and 16. Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is known by the judgment, right? Because ultimately the Lord's going to bring judgment to all these nations, man. And you're going to know that there have been a prophet among you, but you're going to know what it says in Hosea. You should be called what? The sons of the living power. In the place that it was said that you are not the sons of the living power, there should be said that you are the sons of the living power. So that's what the Lord's going to do with this judgment, which He executeth, right? The wicked is snared in the works of his own hands. Haggai Salah, right? So that's basically what it is, man. The wicked is going to be snared in their own, with their own hands, with the work of their own hands. So ultimately these nations are going to get brought down, and they're snared within their own hands. This whole system where, especially like America, I mean, you were the industrial age. Everything came out of America. You built your own things. You created your own things. Now you don't create anything. And now these other nations that's creating all your things, all they got to do is say, nope, you're not bringing, nope, China, I'm not making anything. I'm not finna send anything, or I'll make it, but I'm going to make it for us. Or I'll make it for the other nations, but I won't send you anything. Or if I do send you things, I'm going to send you like stuff that's like really nothing. It's going to break easy. It's going to be nothing. Right? So yeah, that's just what it is, man. Now these nations that used to be weak are now strong. But you did it to yourself. Being greedy. Revelation chapter 11 verse 9. They of the people and kindreds and tongues and nations, right? So all these other different nations, right, who are not the Israelites, shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half, and shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put into graves, right? You're gonna see us, right, through Psalms 83. You're gonna know that we're through your what is it called, Confederacy. You're gonna know that we were basically beating our nationality out of us. That we were gonna be groping at noonday, as if it was night, or like the blind, right? We're going to be groping, right? And that's going into what, trying to figure out who we are, because to be African American or black or Negro or colored is not a nationality, right? So of course we were going to be groping at noonday, right? Looking for answers, because we didn't just wake up one day, because we had to be a people before that time. We didn't just wake up in the 1600s and go, oh my God, we just fell out the sky right into slavery. You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense, but that's the narrative you want to push, right? So the thing of Ezekiel 37 is actually coming up. You know what I'm saying? Those dead bones are starting to put sinew, and what that breath, the breath of life, that wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, right? Giving that way to life, right? The tree of life, which is Yahweh Shai, right? Which is these scriptures. And they that dwelt upon the earth shall rejoice over them, right? And that happened, man. You rejoiced when we fell. You were happy that we fell, right? Because it's all through the scriptures how you were happy that we fell, right? And made merry, and shall send gifts one to another. And who was those gifts? Those gifts were actually us, the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian, man. Like I spoke of, what's name, Captain Hunt, right? Who his profession was to round up Native Americans, right, and send them to Spain, Portugal, England, France, China, Japan, right? So-called Mexicans, they just found a slave ship right off the coast of Mexico, where they was taking them from Mexico over to Cuba. But then who knows where they went after they got to the coast of Cuba, right? So you got scattered, man, via slave ships, and these other nations rejoiced over you, whether you know it or not, or whether you believe it or not. It doesn't require you to necessarily be a part of this, right? Because we're dealing with the elect. The elect shall believe. The elect shall have faith, right? Because these two prophets tormented them, right? Dealing with the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom that dwelt on the earth, right? And also, what is it? Zerubbabel and Joshua, right? Joshua the high priest, or the Joshua, he was Ephraimite, right? So so that's it. That's the things that you've done. You traded us for gifts, and you were happy about it. But it's going to be your own fall, your own traps that you set, and now you're falling into your own ditches, to your own traps, your own snares, man. Yeah. So right here, God's vengeance upon Ammon, Moab, Edom, and the Philistines, right? So they know. I'm saying it's in the scriptures, man. They made their own snares, traps, ditches, things that they thought was gonna prolong them to keep rule, right? Because they want to rule with the beast. But the Lord even said it was gonna be a short space, man, a short time that you can rule, right? It says, "Son of man, set thy face against the Ammonites and prophesied against them." Right? Let me go down here. "And say unto the Ammonites, hear the word of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai. Thus saith Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai power, because thus saith Aha against my sanctuary when it was profaned, and against the land of Israel," right, and where people before a place, "when it was desolate, and against the house of Judah when they went into" what? Captivity, right? "For thus saith Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, because thus has clapped thy hands and stumped with the feet and rejoiced in heart," which is in their mind, Lob, "with all thy" what? "Despite against the" what? "The land of Israel." And like I said, we're a people before a place. "Behold, therefore I will stretch out my hand upon thee, and will deliver thee for a spoil," right? Spoil means to rob, take, "to the heathens," right? To some of these other nations. "I will cut thee off from among the people, and I will cause thee to perish out of the countries. I will destroy thee, and thus shall know that I am Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai," man. You're going to know that there is a power amongst us, right? Right? Because these other nations ain't finna get by. So that was Ammon. So it said, "Thus saith Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, because the Moab and Seir," right, which is Mount Seir, which deals with Edom, and Moab is, the so-called Chinese, and Mount Seir or Seir dealing with the Edomites, which are the self-proclaimed so-called white man, "do say, behold, the house of Judah is like unto all the heathens," right? So now you got people walking around with their pants sagging. They got the heathenistic haircuts. They're eating pork. They're eating shrimp. They're eating lobster. We're in a low condition where our dead bodies are in the streets, right? For 3 days, and you're saying, yeah, good. They're like unto the rest of the heathens. Now look at them, right? And that's what you're hoping, that we would stay in that condition. What the Lord said, what? "And I will execute judgment upon Moab, and they shall know that I am Yahweh." The Lord's going to execute judgment upon you so-called Chinese, man. We know who you are. Right? "And thus saith Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, because that Edom have dealt against the house of Judah, by taking vengeance and have greatly offended and revenged himself upon him, right? Therefore, thus saith Yahweh Bashem Yahushai power, I will also stretch out my hands upon Edom, which is the self-proclaimed so-called white man, and will cut off man and beast from it, and will make it desolate from Teman, and they of Dedan shall fall by the sword. Man, the Lord's going to judge all you nations, man. Even you ones that try to hide behind, because Teman is what the so-called Germans. Dedan was the Dutch or something. You know? But they try to hide behind these different names. No, I'm not the same people as them. No. Yeah, you're because there was 5 brothers. You're 5 different brothers, and you created your own tribe. But your individual tribes all go back to Edom. But you all made the same atrocities, right? The Lord said, I will lay my vengeance upon Edom by the hand of my people Israel, and they shall do in Edom according to my anger. Right, that's going to be, and the Lord's angry with the wicked every day. So there's going to be some real anger. And according to my fury, and they shall know my vengeance, saith Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Well, let's get down to, oh yeah, there we go. And it says, thus saith Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai power, because the Philistines, right, the so-called Africans, have dealt by revenge and have taken vengeance with despiteful hearts to destroy it for the old hatred. So you try to come against Israel for some old hatred, some old thing that you should have forgot about, because we had made a brotherly covenant between you. Therefore, thus saith Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, behold, I will stretch out my hand upon the Philistines, and will cut the cherubims and destroy the remnant of the sea coast. Salakia. You know what I mean? But the Lord's finna, these nations, right? They rejoiced over us, right? And that's pretty much the point. These nations rejoiced over us.
Including non-essential industries being ordered to temporarily shut down, or curtailments on public energy use in order to avoid the worst-case scenario of rolling heating and power outages, which they gave a 70% probability. There's only a 30% chance that the UK can get through this winter without additional severe measures to reduce consumption. So that's happening at the same exact time that these small businesses are going through record high inflation. They're going through their own problems. And what's going to happen? How is this all going to change? Their solution to this is going to change housing. It's going to change everything that we know about living in cities. Euro slides below 99 cents after Russia halts gas supplies to Europe. European markets sink as Russia halts gas flows. Auto stocks fall 5%. Europe heading for recession as cost of living crisis deepens. Bloomberg, Goldman now sees UK economy entering Russia recession in fourth quarter. Could vacant offices be the solution for Brussels housing? Could vacant offices be the solution for Brussels' housing crisis? A new report from Perspective.Brussels, a center dedicated to better urban development in the Belgian capital, says it's a good idea to counteract the housing crisis, which could be converting vacant office space into housing. Brussels has an estimated total vacant office space of 1 million square meters, which can serve to absolutely transform the housing market. Transformation could be lightning fast in comparison to the alternative, which is building more homes. Now, you might say, well, what does this have to do with Europe collapsing? Well, if they're talking about pushing forward more closures on small business, on offices, that is going to put a large pocket of distress in the office sector, which is going to force more and more landlords that own office buildings to sell these buildings or to give them back to the bank, which could all be additional housing stock that could be supplied in the face of inflation, these rising energy costs. Well, it's not just happening there, this is happening everywhere. Turning residential, why it's poised to happen, saving downtowns by converting office space. This is happening all over Dallas, LA, New York, all over the country. It's happening in Europe. It's going to be something that I think is going to have just a profound impact on everything. And here's how it breaks down. Turning downtown residential, why it's poised to happen, it seems logical that we would be rushing to turn vacant office buildings into apartments and condos. So far, it's not happening on a larger scale, but there are reasons to think it's in our urban future. Let's start off with a little exercise in deductive reasoning. First premise, in the past decade, there have been an increasing desire of young people to live near city centers. Second premise, urban downtowns are overstocked with empty or underused office buildings. Conclusion, well, you can figure out that conclusion. We should see a substantial conversion of office buildings to apartment buildings or condos. But why isn't it happening? Yes and no. The emptying of downtown office buildings is a phenomenon that is impossible to deny. A quarter of downtown offices are currently thought to be vacant. Gallup tells us that the number of vacancies is higher than at any other time in the last 30 years. A poll taken at the end of last year by the Partnership of New York City found that just 8% of downtown workers were back in the offices. So we're going to be moving in this direction. And we look at the data, right? So here's
Yeah, so call Loyim Yahweh Basham Yahweh Shai Basham Rakal Kadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, the elders in Connecticut, the brothers in the Four Winds preaching in truth and sincerity, risking their lives more now than ever. The hopeful elect, Shalom to the Israelite foreigners whose phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel. You have come back to the fold. Shalom to you sisters, you Akwathium, listening and learning under your husband or your spiritual leader in meekness and in silence. Shalom.